This video was sponsored by OutBeachExpress.com. Outbeach Express Stock Media by Subscription is a new site that offers high-quality broadcast resolution stock media content. Their content includes stock footages up to 5K resolution, music, sound effects, images, and After Effects templates. Sign up today for a free account at OutBeachExpress.com and receive 19 free pre-selected stock media downloads. No credit cards, payments, or obligations required. Create your free account today. Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to my After Effects tutorial. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to create the cinematic title design in Adobe After Effects. So what you see right now on the screen is what I'm going to show you today. And here is another example of what we can do with this technique. So as you can see, it's a very powerful title design technique, awesome people. You can do this for your film credits, you can do this for your demo reel, and it's just good practice to do with trapode, particular, and optical flares. So with that being said, awesome people, let's get started. I'm going to create a new composition and I'm going to call this main. Now, while I created these titles in 4K, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to keep my settings to 720p 30 fps. Alright, so you can create them in any res you want. This technique works with 4K res, so you can definitely go there, but for the sake of tutorial, 720p is perfect. Create my composition. In the composition, I'm going to create a solid. I'm going to name this BG. Now make sure, awesome people, that you create this full black, right? And this is because when we do the camera animation, this way we are not getting any alpha problems. Alright, I'm going to create another solid and I'm going to call this flare, right? I'm going to go to optical flares, actually Video Copilot, optical flares, take it and drop it straight to the solid. And in this, awesome people, we're going to click options. Now, a lot of people that I know don't really know how to use optical flares properly. All they know is they know how to change the position of the flare and to go to preset browser and select one of the presets from these 5 folders. And that is not that's not even close to what optical flares really can do. So I'm going to click on this option which says clear all, and I'm going to build my own flare. I'm going to go to lens objects. I'm going to take streak and a simple glow. I'm going to take the lens from here and I can position it. So this way I know how the composition is going to be. I'm going to place my flare somewhere over here. You can choose this place, that place. You can have like a cross rotation sort of effect, but for this tutorial's case, again, I'm going to keep things simple and place it right there. Next, awesome people, I'm going to click on the glow parameter in my stack order, and I'm going to change the scratch from 100. The first value I'm going to make 50, the second value I'm going to make 25, right? Now, in order to properly affect the color of the flare, a lot of people would try to change the color from here. Now this technique definitely works, but it doesn't give us that proper streakish effect, right? And in order to create that, I'm going to go to options and I'm going to change the color of these two parameters individually. All right, I hope that makes sense. So go to glow, go to color 1, and I'm going to give it a very slight, like the change in it is going to be very, very subtle, but it's definitely affecting the full look of our flare. So as you can see, I just moved from this to this, but it changed the look of my flare quite a lot. So the flare, like when you're working with flares, those small changes are very, very important. Again, for the streak, I'm going to go to a very nice orangish, dark orangish color, and I'm going to take somewhere along those lines, right? Click OK and come out of the settings box. And awesome people, once you have optical flare selected, you can click on this anchor point position thingy and bring the flare right here, right? So this is how the composition is going to look. This is looking really nice. Now the one thing the full composition is lacking is that there is no texture. The depth is not there. While we are going to create some depth with trapode particular, it's a good idea to have at least some sort of texture. Now you can go to CG Textures or DeviantArt or any of those websites for getting some good textures, but optical flares has a texture plugin or a texture setting in this plugin already built in. So click on global parameters, and in here there's going to be a lens texture setting box. From texture image, change it from none to specs. This is a setting that I used for for creating my example previews. I tried to work with coarse and DAG, but they weren't really getting me that proper effect. You can experiment, of course, but they didn't work for me. I'm going to take specs and click OK. Right now, in order to give it like a proper finished effect, because I can see a little purple over here, I'm going to click on the full global parameter of the color, click here and give it that nice dark effect as well, like from here. Right, it's going to be very, very subtle, and that is it. Right, so we went from this to this. See, it's a very subtle color. I think that's a little too much in my opinion. I'm just gonna go there. Alright, that is looking very nice to me. The next thing that I would like to do is I would like to add a flicker. So I'm gonna change this option. Now this is to create that on off, power down, power up effect. We can do this with opacity and scale and something, but there is a setting in the plugin already built in. So I'm gonna change the speed to 75 and the amount to 25. This way, if I was to ramp preview it, you can see that slowly power down, power up effect is looking really nice. So the flickers work good. That is great. I'm gonna duplicate the flare solid. I'm gonna rename this to flare 02. Right, this way I know what flare this is, and what I'm gonna do, awesome people, is I'm gonna rotate it to 180 degrees. So 180, right? And make sure, awesome people, that your solid blend modes are set to add. This way we can see both the flares. And now, awesome people, go to flare 02 and we're going to reduce the brightness down to 50 and change the size or the scale of the flare to 25. This way we just have a nice like a background flare where we're not like this part is not really pulling the attention. The side element is this flare, and there's going to be a text layer over here, right? So I hope that makes sense. And alright, so let's move on. I'm going to duplicate the flare one more time, or actually, awesome people, before getting to that, let's take the text tool and type something out. I'm going to say title design. You can use BBAS New. This is an excellent font, awesome people. I'm going to squish the text down like this, and this definitely works. But I found that Agency FP, this is a premium font, but this really gets that proper title expensive movie look. So if you want good titles, you need to put some money into your fonts. So title design, I'm going to duplicate this font. I'm going to call this, I'm going to change it to Zengen Learning, alter my name TjStyle, or I'm also known as, my real name is Tahadulal. I'm known as TjStyle. So Zengen Learning is good, looks good. Next, awesome people, now I already know that I'm going to animate this a little bit, right? We need to give it that nice floating or going up sort of effect, or at least like a linear direction movement effect. So I'm going to take my Zengen Learning layer and I'm going to parent it to the small text layer. This way we just need to animate this, and as you can see, the other text layer is going to follow it, right? I hope that makes sense. Next, awesome people, we will create, we'll just duplicate the flare 02. So this way we have flare 03, awesome people. Click on optical flares and we will take the anchor point of the flare right here. I'm going to position it to the character name or to the company name. So we have something like this going on. This looks nice. And this, awesome people, I'm going to change the scale down to 10 for flare 03. So this way it's a very subtle texture, or a very subtle flare, and it's not destroying the full composition look. It's just giving it that nice subtle feel, right? I'm going to go to flare 03, click on options, and I'm going to remove the texture image. So make it none, click OK. And this way we're not flooding the full composition with unnecessary specs and textures. So this looks good. If I was to preview it, you can see that the flares are animating at the same time. So this is not looking very realistic. It's giving us that CG feel. We want to feel as if this is really there in the world. So we need to change those flicker settings. So go to flare 02 and we'll change the flicker for amount. Like we'll keep the speed, we'll bring down the speed to 25 and we'll take the amount up to 75. So this way, awesome people, we'll get an exact opposite feel, And I think the 75 amount is too much, so we'll keep that to 30. Okay. Alright, this looks good. Next, awesome people, we need to, I think I'm gonna remove the flare, the flicker setting from the flare 03. This way it stays static throughout and it doesn't do much, movement. Alright, this looks good, awesome people. I think the flare one is flickering just too much. So speed, I'll bring that down to 50. Amount is fine, but I think it's still too much. Bring it down to 25 and I'll change the amount to 10. Right? There you go, awesome people. There's that nice, feel. Now, awesome people, we need to add some animation to this. So I'm going to create a new camera, press Ctrl Shift Alt C, that's a keyboard shortcut, and we'll keep this to about 35 mm. That is great. I'm going to create a new null object, so Ctrl Shift Alt Y. I'm going to rename this to camera controller. Right? Make this into a 3D layer and parent the camera to the controller. So now what's going to happen, and also awesome people, select all the different layers except for the BG layer and make all of them into 3D. This way, awesome people, when we animate our camera controller, let me just show it to you. They're all going up, but we are still having no alpha problems. You can see if I change my alpha grid, we cannot see any alpha. So this is good. So the first frame, awesome people, I'm going to start my animation, move ahead in time to about say 4 seconds. I think 3 seconds would be good. And I'm going to add 10 pixels to the Y value. So 360, I'm going to make it plus 10. It's going to be 370 and that's it. That's a very subtle animation, but with a nice proper music, this would look epic. So I think this is a little too fast actually. So I'm going to go to 4 seconds, take this keyframe, put it over there. This looks good to me. Now, awesome people, we need some more depth because the full scene looks very empty. So we need to add some particles, some particles flowing around. So I'm going to press Ctrl Y. I'm going to call this PAR. That stands for particular. Go to trap code, take particular, drag and drop it onto the layer. This way, awesome people, you'll see that we get some very random particles going on. This is good. Now I'm going to show you how to use this and create that nice depth feel. So first, awesome people, go to emitter, and first what we'll do is we will actually open emitter and open particle at the same time and change the, in particle, change the sphere feather to 0. This way we don't have, this way we are not getting, the soft bubbles effect. We are getting nice sharp edges. This is nice. We'll go to opacity over life under particle, and we will, for some people, awesome people, you may not be able to see these settings. It could be like this. Scratch out your FX and controls to see it properly. And I'll take this preset right here. Okay, this double dome shape. So this is looking nice. It starts with nothing and it slowly fades out. This is looking really good, awesome people. Next, go to emitter setting, and we'll change this from point to box. Okay, and change the emitter in X. Now this, awesome people, it basically has to be more than your composition setting. So right now I'm working with 720p, so it's going to be 1280 by 720, right? But when you're working with 4K or with a 4000 comp or 2000 comp or whatever, just make sure that you're at least adding 500 more pixels to this. So for me it's 1280. So this, awesome people, emitter X should be 1280 plus 500 or plus 750 at least. So as you can see, it's going to scratch out, but this is definitely important. We're not wasting any space, we're not wasting any render time. This is definitely important. Same thing with the Y, awesome people. Your Y has to be more than the height of your composition. So we'll take 720 into or plus 500. So this is 1220, and emitter Z, we'll just increase it a lot. So this way we're getting a nice depth. You can see that some particles are bigger in size, some are smaller. It's not the size difference, awesome people, it's the actual Z space between them. So some particles are further away from us, from the camera, and some are really close to the camera. Therefore they're getting that difference in size. Right, I'm going to keep this to somewhere about 2500. This looks nice. So now if I start playing this, or if I do a ramp preview, you can see that they start from anywhere, they are going anywhere. It's not looking very nice. What I'm going to do now, awesome people, is I'm going to go to physics in the particular setting, and I'm going to change the gravity to -10. Okay, so this way everything is still a little random, but they're going a little bit up, right? You can see these particles are going in upwards direction. This is good, but the one thing that I really don't like about this is that at the start of my animation there are no particles, and then they eventually come in. So what I want is I want the first frame to have the particles. You can just move the layer to the left, but I have a better way. Go to emitter, go to emissions extra, and change the pre-run to about 100. Right? Actually max it out to 100. So this way the particles are already there on the first frame. Okay. Next, awesome people, we'll change the velocity. You can see it's 100. So we'll change this down to 10. Right. So now you can see all of them are simply going up, and they have that nice, going up effect. This looks nice, awesome people. Now another problem is that there is just too much animation happening. Like you can see the particles are coming in, the particles, you can see if you were to follow this guy, you can see that he comes out of nowhere, he eventually fades away. So there's a lot of things happening in the scene. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the particles life from 3 seconds to 10 seconds. Right, now this is going to cause us to have a lot of particles, but we can control the number of particles in the emitter setting. 100, we'll change this down to 25. Right, as you can see, less particles but good particles. Alright, this is looking good. Now we need to get the color right. Come to particle option or setting, dialog box or something. Go to color, and again what we'll do is we'll take a nice dark orange, something like this, right? And we'll change the transfer mode from normal to add. Now awesome people, I'm going to go to opacity and I'm going to say opacity random. I'll change this all the way to 100. Okay, I'll change the size random all the way to 100 as well. So this way we are truly getting some size difference, some opacity difference, and everything is going to be a little different from one another. So this is looking good. Now awesome people, I'll change the opacity of the full solid to about 25. Also awesome people, make sure that you are changing the blend mode of the layer to add. Alright, I think I'll change it to 35. Okay, this looks good. Now awesome people, I'm going to duplicate this particular layer, and this awesome people I'm going to rename this to particular underscore small. What I'm going to do awesome people is I'm going to create some more details with the particles, but I want it to be very, very small particles, right? So I'm going to change the size in this new layer to 1, and I'm going to increase the particles per second to about 500. So now if we start playing this, I think 500 is a little too less. I'll change it up to 5000. Right, there you go, awesome people. So we're having some very nice. Now the problem is that they're going very, very fast. So in particle small, I'll go to gravity and I'll change it to -2. Right, so this way it's very, very slow. Maybe you can even adjust the opacity of this layer from 35 to say 20. Right, so this way we have the flare thing happening, we have the texture from flare, we have some good particles going on, and the whole thing looks really nice. I think -2 is also very, very high for them, so I'll change it to -1. Right, oh my god, I'll change it to -0.1. Let's see what happens. There you go. There, now you're getting that proper small particles effect, right? Very, very small, very, very good. What you can also do, awesome people, is you can change this to maybe 1, where the particles will be going down. Like the small particles that we created, the details will be going down, and the bigger particles will be going up, right? So this looks good, awesome people. Now to complete the full thing, what we can do is we can create a new solid. I'm going to call this boxing. Hit the S key, break this link and change the second value to 80. Next, change the blend mode to stencil alpha, and this way we're gonna get like a proper letterboxing effect. You can even change this to 70 if you want a tighter squeeze, but that is how it looks, awesome people. Now of course, awesome people, for the sake of the tutorial, I had to rush a few things, but I spent quite a lot of time creating this effect. So if you put more time into this, you're gonna get a better result, you're gonna get a better render at the end, and the full theme and technique was explained in the video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My name is TjStyle. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care, everyone.